So, folks, we have to talk about Iran and also, in the process, Donald Trump. Because, again, we can't really talk about Iran without noting the fact that Donald Trump has no idea why we're there. We have no clear plans for what we're going to do there. There's not even really a clear way of getting out. It's been like over a month now, and we are no closer to having any answers as to why this is happening, other than Donald Trump thought it'd be fun and easy, I guess. That's genuinely my best guess, because like sometimes it's like, well, it's about eliminating their nuclear weapons program, which we previously said we had already done. Well, and also previously had done under the Obama administration's, nuclear deal with Iran that Donald Trump tore up. So this is actually the second time we've been put into a crisis by Donald Trump as it relates to Iran. But I don't think it has anything to do with nuclear weapons whatsoever, right? Because if anything, what Donald Trump has managed to do now is absolutely guarantee that the only way Iran is going to feel at all any kind of security is if they actually get a deterrent nuclear weapon, right? I don't believe that Iran has the ability to get one right now. And I believe that is why they are pursuing this strategy of locking down the Strait of Hormuz and attempting to formalize their control over it, which is actually a huge win for them as a country if that actually takes place, right? It has formally been added to their list of demands for the conflict to end. And increasingly, Iran's list of demands for the conflict to end seems to be mattering a whole lot more than the United States list of demands for the conflict to end. And that's, I think, pretty telling. And it's not hard to see why, right? Because Donald Trump, his brain's not all there. And without any additional context, I'm just going to play this clip from him, I think earlier today or yesterday.
Thank everybody very much. And I'm asked to take a few questions. And unlike other politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm here for you. Thank everybody.
That's a really weird thing to say. If you got all your marbles. That's a really weird thing to say. Just off the cuff. He said that? He said that. Yes. So, this is the guy in charge of America right now. As far as, other world leaders at the moment, it's worth noting that, the Pope has a little bit of influence over the Trump administration, largely through J.D. Vance, who is apparently a Catholic. But it's worth noting that the Pope came out real hard against J.D. Vance here, saying that God rejects prayers of leaders who wage wars, which, is really, I gotta say, we might have a good, a marginally good Pope right now. Marginally good Pope, which is strange, right? It's strange to say that, but this guy's basically like, yeah, no, Christian nationalism's disgusting and you shouldn't do it. Don't do Christian nationalism. Don't wage wars in the name of Christ. And I just want to say the full quote here: God rejects the prayers of leaders who start wars and have hands full of blood. And I think that's at least something. I think that's an interesting development, to say the least. And there's another interesting development here, apropos of nothing. YouGov put out a new poll a few days ago, with data from March 25th, showing that Donald Trump currently has 62% disapproval, which is a pretty high number, and only an approval rating of 33%. Guys, having an approval rating of 33% puts him in striking range of having this, like, hitting the level of approval Nixon had when he left office. We're talking like George W. Bush at like the bottom of his approval rating. You know, we're talking like this is the kind of thing where most people pack it up and go home because there's literally nothing they can accomplish from there on out with only 26% approval. And he is not that far away from that number. All right? That matters. It matters because we're getting closer and closer to the midterms. And the more and more hated Donald Trump becomes by the general public, the more and more incentive is given for Republicans to try and distance themselves. This is one of the reasons I'm interested to look at CPAC speakers who are, you know, in the Senate or the House, or who are governors, because, you know, as we're getting closer to the midterms, you're going to start seeing people distancing themselves from Trump, probably not fully breaking from Trump, at least not until after the midterms. But like, we're going to start seeing some bigger and bigger rifts. And we've already seen a ton of conservative infighting here. But we're going to start seeing more of it as we get closer to the midterms, and especially after we get over the midterm hump, right? And I do want to point out here that, like, increasingly what is going to be a point of contention in the Republican Party is going to be, are you pro-Israel or are you anti-Israel? And we all know here, of course, that a lot of Republicans are deeply anti-Semitic and oppose Israel on the grounds that they dislike, you know, Jewish people. And that would be representative of like the Tucker Carlson wing of the Republicans. But then you have people who are still close with Trump. And Donald Trump got involved in this war in Iran in no small part because Israel, you know, sweet-talked him into it, because he has a weak, feeble mind. And stuff like this is going to exacerbate the break. This is from the International Business Times. Trump advisor Paula White says Christians must send 10% of their gross income to Israel or risk disobeying God. Genuinely crazy. Oh, we're not going to be able to find this right off the butt, are we? I believe that it is so important to honor God with his tithe, an offering that's free will. She told viewers that giving to her ministry over the past 4 years had contributed to rebuilding a moshav in Israel. You've helped build a moshav in a village in Israel from the horrific attacks of October 7th. You did the greatest thing, and the greatest thing you do is take the gospel around the world. And like, it's wild to me that she's advocating a 10% tithe to Israel. And it is only going to get worse from here on out. Like, this kind of stuff is going to absolutely galvanize and polarize the Republicans, right? And I wanted to pull this up. Sorry, I'm stalling. If you can't tell, I'm stalling to buy time. Or you could give your money to, like, the needy. Yeah, you could. If you're a loser. Why give to the needy when you could give to a genocidal apartheid state? Why? I don't understand. So Donald Trump has been trying, with his feeble, degenerated brain, has been trying his best to figure out how he can sell this war in Iran as a good thing to the American people. And one of the ways he's been trying to do it is by just coming right out and saying, as he did earlier today, we're just straight up going to Iran to take the oil. We take the oil and then we win. That's genuinely his thought process. He genuinely seems to think if you put troops on Karg Island off the coast of Iran, that means we now have all of their oil, and that's it. We're done. They can't fight us anymore. And that's just not at all how this is going to work. But that's what he's trying to spin this as, right? to that end, Donald Trump is massing troops, thousands and thousands and thousands of US Army paratroopers. Like, it is crazy the degree to which people are being deployed. There are over 2,500 Marines, and the Army has also sent the 82nd Airborne. And it seems to me right now like the plan is we're just going to drop, like, parachute 1,000 or so guys onto Karg Island. I cannot even begin to tell you how bad an idea that is. Iran has been reportedly heavily investing in defenses for the island, moving artillery, anti-aircraft, etc. to the island. Like, it's striking distance from the mainland very easily from like a billion different points. And to what? Mill around? Well, yeah, essentially. Like, that's like, once they're there, what are they supposed to do exactly? I think that this story published in Task and Purpose a few days ago might have an answer here. Pentagon looks for vendors to supply pre-made bunkers within 30 days. The request was issued Monday for companies to submit possible delivery timelines for 3 days, 15 days, and 30 days, and include information about the highest threat level that the bunkers could withstand. So, let's summarize here. We have thousands of Marines and, paratroopers ready to go, and the military is last second trying to buy a bunch of prefabricated bunkers that they can, like, I assume either drop from the sky or bring by boats. It's like, how the hell do you get them out? I guess the plan is you don't get them out, but because there's not, like, American ships, as far as I can tell, aren't going through the Strait of Hormuz. The only way to get ships there. I guess the entire plan is predicated on air resupplies, and until America wins the glorious war. There's no plan to get them out. The only plan is how to seize the oil. That's it. Aren't bunkers just in the ground? Can't transport them? Well, yes, but also they want pre-made ones that they can transport. This is, I mean, it's, frankly, I don't see a scenario playing out here where anyone dropped on that island or landing on the beaches of that island is able to successfully survive in these bunkers. I don't know exactly how this works in any kind of sustainable way. I mean, Sylvie DB, dig hole for bunker, drop bunker in hole, seems to be genuinely their plan. And I don't see any way where, if these defense contractors provide bunkers, that those bunkers are at all able to sustain the kind of, like, artillery and rocket barrage that would certainly be coming. Offensive bunkers is definitely a new strategy. The only time I've ever seen it used is in StarCraft, if I'm being completely honest. And given the nature of this administration, it would not surprise me if they just put StarCraft players in charge of their military strategy. Like, just this quote here. It does seem like they're interested in the rapid deployment of these shelters.
Trump is attempting the Brannigan maneuver.
Yeah. Does not bind the government to procure any of the solutions submitted, but it does give them a sense of what the capacity in industry is to respond to and produce those types of supplies rapidly. Yeah, the search for new shelters comes 1 month after the start of Operation Epic Fury on February 28th. At least 1,000 82nd Airborne Division soldiers sent to the Middle East. So, yeah. There's no way this ends well for anybody. And also worth noting is our goal, even to occupy Karg Island? Is that what the United States wants to do? Because it seems we're also just using experimental weapons now. Like, we're just experimenting on Iran as we attack. This story was broken by the New Republic here. Trump used untested weapon to bomb another school in Iran. The Trump administration used untested weapons in a strike in Iran that hit a school and sports hall on February 28th. The newly designed ballistic missile at a school. Times analysts concluded the strike involved a precision strike missile, or PRSM, a short-range ballistic missile that detonates just above its target and blasts tungsten pellets outward. Like,
StarCraft players would care more
guys,
about logistics, because you can't queue up a new army if you don't have minerals and gas. Iran cut off the gas.
Like, it's like firing a shotgun in 360-degree motion with a kind of buckshot that just goes through anything like butter. Like, depraved ambiance. When I first read this, my first reaction was, that seems like something that's an instant war crime. This is just an instant war crime that you did. And according to video of the attack, the explosion took place exactly above the structure, and photos from both sites show all kinds of tiny holes ripping through them. It's awful. A witness apparently described the use of the weapon as they saw it. All they could remember was the continuous screaming after the explosion. Tungsten pellets, those are the replacements for depleted uranium armor-piercing munitions? Yes. It's... I have no words. So those kids die immediately. I do not know what the death toll from that particular strike was. According to Iranian media, 21 people were killed.
Here, have some money for educating us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. 59 Carla. So, yeah, 21 people killed. And again, this is a strike on a school.
At this point, America would be better off with the Decepticons than the Republicans.
I mean, at least we'd get Starscream, right? At least we'd get cool robot fights. Also worth noting, this was another school that got hit. The school and the sports hall were attached. Like, every public-facing piece of information that we have about the use of this particular munition indicates that it was deliberately hitting a school. It's genuinely just awful. Also, worth noting today that a journalist named Caitlin Dornbos wrote this earlier today. President Trump confirmed to me today that the U.S. is negotiating with Iranian parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, saying, "We'll find out in about a week whether he is someone America can truly work with." Now, this is stupid for a whole host of reasons. Number one, if it was true that the United States is actually negotiating with this guy, this would immediately put his life in mortal danger and destroy any ability he has to negotiate. So, if that was true, Donald Trump is undermining his own attempt to negotiate. If it's not true, and it is worth noting that Speaker Ghalibaf says it is not true pretty vociferously. If it's not true, why lie? I guess. There's just not any reason to it, I guess. And of course, then we have the return to, well, the real reason we're there isn't for the oil, and it's not anything else. It's actually because we want to destroy their uranium program. And you might think, oh, okay, how are you going to do that? Destroy their refining facilities, destroy their like ability to procure uranium? How are you going to do that? What is the process there? And the Wall Street Journal today reporting that apparently Donald Trump is weighing whether or not to send military men into Iran in order to extract. Now, this is so stupid on its face that I just can't really wrap my head around it. There's 1,000 pounds of uranium that we know of in Iran. Idea that you can just go in and yoink 1,000 pounds of uranium, when we're talking about, like, this would be possibly not all in one place, possibly spread out. And even if it was all in one place, you need specialized equipment to, like, seal it up and transport it. You need the ability to defend said operation, which I want to point out, the IRGC may have degraded, like, anti-air capabilities by now, but they have a standing army of over 1 million people. Like, the idea here that you would be able to field a large enough army to stop them from stopping you is, you could just put it in your inventory. Like, there's just no way this would work. Now, of course, Donald Trump isn't saying that they would do this, but he is saying he's considering it, and even the fact that it's on the table is stupid as hell, right? Iran actually has several natural deposits of uranium. Yeah, like, I don't exactly know how they intend to, like, stop. Maybe you just bomb. Like, even if you bomb it, like, they're just gonna get mining stuff up and running again at some point. Like, this is not a viable option. But the fact that he is considering sending thousands of people to die in the middle of Iran for no reason, for, like, genuinely an impossible task, it baffles me. Like, if those soldiers aren't immediately cut down by IRGC fire, like, they're gonna get irradiated to death. Like, this isn't the winning scenario for them. Are we going to have Navy SEALs and Delta Force flying and speed mine the uranium? I mean, this kind of gives credence to my StarCraft 2 idea that they just got StarCraft 2 players to plan this war, because this does sound like some kind of obscure Terran strat to send, to send your guys over to mine those crystals. You know, you fly your base over, you set it down, let out all your guys, they start mining. You just gotta strip mine fast enough before the enemy realizes you're over there, and then you skedaddle. It's so stupid. And not only that, guys, Donald Trump, the Washington Post out there is being like, well, the new war goal is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. They ran that story like yesterday. Today, Donald Trump is putting out this signal. White House signals willingness to end Iran war without reopening Strait of Hormuz, which is essentially, to reiterate here, one of Iran's demands is for them to formalize their control over the Strait of Hormuz and effectively run it like, the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, charging tolls, etc., for ships that go through, which would, again, be a huge win for their country. And Donald Trump is now putting out feelers to say, well, it's not one of the core objectives of ours to, like, prevent them from doing that. And, like, I want to really reiterate here, they're only doing this because the United States attacked them in an act of aggression. Like, genuinely, what are we doing here? You would think, like, someone in the administration would have been able to, like, distill down a few talking points that are, like, what they're going to run with. But Donald Trump has put out, like, 5 different and sometimes contradictory statements about why we're doing what we're doing. And he does this, like, every hour and flits through different reasons on a dime. It's crazy to me. The fact that, like, Republicans aren't looking at this and being like, this guy's a stark raving lunatic, and he's sending thousands of U.S. troops to die for no reason. Genuinely, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how you can watch, people being sent to their deaths, how you can watch schools getting blown up by the, experimental weaponry and, 160 some girls getting just annihilated in an explosion while trying to shield themselves from bombs. Like, I don't get it. How you can watch what is happening and not see that, like, Donald Trump has no idea what the fuck he's doing. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And again, this reporting is reinforced by Al Jazeera here. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump and his aides have assessed in recent days that a mission to pry open the choke point would push the conflict beyond the president's timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. And like, we're already over 4 weeks for this conflict. The idea that he thinks that this is going to be wrapped up in 2 weeks, like, how? There's no exit from this. Short of the United States paying reparations, there is no exit from this. Like, I don't know. Like, Iran is only going to harden their position. This is a video of an attack that took place like about 8 hours ago on the city of Isfahan. Like, just the amount of bombs raining on this city is insane. This conflict is escalating, and I do want to point out, and I've talked about how this conflict is escalating. It's not just escalating in Iran. What city is that? Isfahan. It's a big city in Iran. The United States has been targeting Isfahan with a lot of like bunker buster bombs. I believe they think there's some kind of military complex underneath the city or near the city. And I believe it is where one of their old uranium refining facilities was. So I think that might be part of what's happening there and why they're trying to target Isfahan in particular. But on top of all of this, like, despite the fact that many of the countries in the Gulf are trying to get this thing to end as quickly as possible, like, Iran has no incentive to end this quickly. Because the entire reason Iran is going to continue to throttle and threaten traffic through the Strait of Hormuz is because they need assurances that this is not going to happen again. They need to establish deterrence. That's why they're doing what they're doing. And that's why they can't just be like, oh, yep, nope, we're all cool. They have to inflict economic pain. That is what their entire strategy relies on. They don't have like a nuclear weapon to act as a deterrent, so they're using this instead. So many people are dying for no reason in Iran, and pretty soon, U.S. troops as well. I mean, several U.S. troops have already died, but like, we're going to see bigger numbers in the near future if there is a ground deployment, which it increasingly looks like it is going to, like sometime within the next several days. And it's not great. But the conflict is spreading because we have now the United States is bombing Iran and the United States is bombing Iraq. In case you guys forgot about that, conflict and tension has been escalating between Iraqi paramilitary groups and the Iraqi government, and the Iraqi paramilitary groups actually have a lot of political power and are demanding that the Iraqi government essentially stand in solidarity with them, and the Iraqi government might just do that. Worth pointing out here, here's a post from one of the people in Iraq, a local observer in Iraq. Your Iraq update for today is that America is striking Iraqi Hashed posts across Iraq, and Iraqi Shia militias are targeting U.S. interests in Baghdad and Iraqi Kurdistan. This has been happening every single day. You will read this and move on, but this has been our life since the war started. Essentially, the war is spreading across Iraq as well, and there's been precious little coverage of that in American media. largely, I think, because mainstream news doesn't want to alarm and spook the general public who still have so vividly a memory of the Iraq War. As that happens, the Houthis have now been launching missiles as well, getting more involved into the conflict. They've been launching missiles at Israel. All of this has been going on while Israel is doing a full-on ground invasion of Lebanon and expanding their theater of operations in southern Lebanon. And Hezbollah has been attacking Israeli forces, as well as launching rockets and missiles into Israel that are, a lot of people have been talking about the lack of interceptors in the region, and we're starting to see that play out. The amount of damage that has been done by Iran and Hezbollah missiles has increased rapidly, right? So what we have seen from Iranian missile attacks, Iranian rockets, etc., drone attacks, is that they have been so successful that many of the military bases that the United States has in the region have been rendered unlivable, have forced the people who work on those bases to relocate to hotels, civilian hotels, where, civilians still are. And also, Hezbollah has been hitting successfully different targets within Israel, and they're finding a degree of success that I think anyone who is interested in stability returning to this region anytime soon should be worried about. Fire contained after missile attack on oil refinery in Israel's Haifa. This oil refinery in particular is the largest one in Israel. It is the second attack that has managed to damage this area. And again, the oil fields are going to start burning soon on a huge scale if this continues to escalate. I don't know how this de-escalates. I don't know what the off-ramp is from this. It's a really scary situation. And not only that, we talked last week about a story about Israel calling up additional reservists. Instead of going for 230,000, they were upping it to 480,000 or something like that. And what that is speaking to is that they are doing mass mobilization within Israel in order to pursue, their war in Gaza, their war in the West Bank, their war in Lebanon, their war in Iran. There is a massive escalation here as the imperial system attempts to assert itself and seize more control and more territory. And it's really, really scary. In part because it kind of seems like Israel's just kind of going for it, that they're going for the reestablishment of some of the greater Israel borders. And if they are in fact running out of interceptors, they're trying to make up for it with increased aggression towards their neighbors. This honestly feels like the setting of the stage for a forever war. I mean, it does. And I just can't get over the fact that it was started for literally no reason. No reason has been given to the American public. No reason is being even theoretically put forward. We're in a bad situation here, guys. Iran has been shooting down American Reaper drones. I really wish I knew. I wish I could tell you how this is going to turn out okay, but it's really not. Everything that we've been seeing indicates that what is going to happen here is continuing escalation. And I say that in part because even the news coming out of Israel, for example, it's bad. A news story dropped in Haaretz that I saw earlier today that the Israeli government passed a law to mandate the hanging of Palestinians who are convicted of terrorist crimes. I want to reiterate, it is specific to Palestinians. It's not just anyone who is convicted of doing terrorism in Israel. It's specifically Palestinians. When we talk about Israel being an apartheid state, where two different groups of people are treated very differently, like it's not just, oh, well, the people in the West Bank are under military law and the people in Israel are under another law. That is part of the apartheid system. But even in Israel proper, there is a different set of legal codes that apply to only Palestinians, right? I want to play for you guys a clip. This is a member of the Israeli cabinet, Itamar Ben-Gvir, after they passed this law mandating the hanging of anyone convicted, any Palestinian convicted of terrorism. Here is his reaction.
השר, על מה כל החגיגה?
מוות המחבלים עבר היום, חוק מוות המחבלים, היסטוריה, היסטוריה. בעזרת השם בקרוב, אחד אחד להוציא להורג, כל אלה שטבחו ורצחו ושרפו, לחיים, לחיי עם ישראל.
Can you read it, please? There's no text. It is worth noting that Itamar Ben-Gvir is a convicted terrorist. This man is celebrating a law that would see someone convicted for the same crime that he did, would see them hung if they're Palestinian. And he celebrates. So far, they seem to view every Palestinian as a terrorist. I mean, yes, that is, in fact, how the apartheid state works. Itamar Ben-Gvir, by the way, just the other day, was defending the IDF pulling over a CNN crew and detaining them and beating them. In fact, it's so brazen, it's actually kind of shocking. And in response to this, it was actually so bad that Israel suspended the entire battalion. Worth noting, though, only suspended the battalion. Like, oddly, I did not know this, but the IDF has specific, like, orthodox or ultra-orthodox regiments. I didn't know this. Like, you actually group your different military units by, like, their religious affiliation. That seems bizarre to me. It seems absolutely bizarre to me. But Jerry Diamond, CNN's Jerusalem correspondent, and his team were in Tayasir on Thursday reporting on attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinians when soldiers from the IDF Netza Yehuda unit intervened. One of the soldiers placed Cyril Theophilos, a CNN photojournalist, in a chokehold, brought him to the ground, and damaged his camera, the network reported. The crew members were detained for about 2 hours. In an article published Saturday on CNN's website, Diamond wrote that the incident laid bare the settler ideology motivating many of the soldiers who operate in the occupied West Bank, and the ways in which soldiers frequently act in service of the settler movement. Which, I do want to say, this article in particular, I'm going to link it in chat for you guys because all of you should read it. But I want you all to read this, right? Because, I mean, effectively, it's bizarre, you know? I believe they have the footage here.
75-year-old Abdullah Darahme moans in pain. His breathing is labored, his face bloodied, bruised, and swollen. Bones broken. His family and multiple eyewitnesses say Israeli settlers stormed into his home in the middle of the night and beat him to a pulp. In his West Bank village of Tayasir, those same settlers have now...
Which is now... This is the apartheid system at work. Israeli settlers can, with impunity, charge into other people's homes, beat them bloody, and even kill them. And take their stuff, force them off their land, claim it as their own. Right? They do acts of terror on the regular towards Palestinians who have lived here their entire lives, lived here for generations, and it is all backed by the Israeli military. Because the law that presides over this region is Israeli military law. So the members of the IDF that operate in the West Bank, they are effectively judge, jury, and executioner. In some cases, literally all three. So what winds up happening is these settlers commit blatant offenses against Palestinians. And if any Palestinian ever dares raise their voice, raise their fist to one of these Israeli settlers, either those settlers kill them or the IDF comes in and kills them, right? It is a horrific system. And anyone who tells you Israel is not an apartheid state, you need to tell them about what happens in the occupied territories. This settler colonial mentality is disgusting. It is disgusting, and it is unacceptable anywhere and everywhere. And it is, I also want to argue, a part of the Iran conflict that the United States is supporting Israel in.
Established an outpost, considered illegal even under Israeli law. Soldiers standing idly by until something else draws their attention. Producer Abir Salman identifies us as journalists before translating the soldiers' commands.
Sit down, sit down, sit down.
So the soldiers just immediately came up and started pointing their weapons directly at us, telling everyone to sit down immediately. Obviously, we're not posing any threat here.
The commander comes straight for our camera, and within seconds, a soldier has just put photojournalist Cyril Theophilus in a chokehold, forcing him to the ground.
Don't touch him like that. Don't touch him like that. Give me my phone.
The soldier who assaulted Theophilus continues to demand he turn off his camera, before another smacks my phone.
So as you can see, what we have seen happen in the last 24 hours is that settlers came to this area. They settled that hilltop, and now you have a lot of soldiers coming to this area with the Palestinians in this area. They're on top of the home of Imad, the man that we were just speaking to. And we're seeing the soldiers treat the Palestinians in the area as the threat, when really what started this problem was obviously the settlers who came in the middle of the night and took over land that's not theirs.
The Palestinians here are detained and questioned. Soldiers detain us too and walk us back to our vehicle. They say they're trying to establish order between settlers and Palestinians. But as the cameras keep rolling, it becomes clear these soldiers are here in service of the settler movement.
I also just want to say the fact that they are openly that, like, do you have any idea what it takes for CNN, for a mainstream journalistic outfit, to actually full-throatedly just say what the actual dynamic happening here is? Do you have any idea? Like, if this hadn't happened to a CNN film crew, CNN might not ever have allowed that kind of a statement to directly be said. This is, it is an anomaly. It is an anomaly for mainstream US reporting to go and actually report on the reality of what the Israeli system is here.
השטח הזה, כל יהודה ושומרון זה שלנו, בוודאי, חיילים, כן. לא רק שחיילים, של היהודים.
They also...
Yeah, I mean, like, this is why the conflation is so dangerous, right? We are here because this is our place. Is this your village? The land is ours. So all the West Bank is yours? Of course. And not just for the soldiers, for the Jews.
They also say it's personal. These soldiers tell me they were friends with the 18-year-old settler who authorities say was killed last week by a Palestinian driver. Palestinians dispute that account.
If you had a brother and they kill him, what would you have done? So that's revenge? Revenge. You're talking about revenge? But you're a soldier. Is it normal to carry out revenge as a soldier? Listen, at the end of the day, if the state doesn't address what they did, those who murdered the youth, the settler last week, remember? What do you expect us to do?
We're currently detained by the Israeli military. They've told us to sit in our cars and wait. As you can see, one of them is right here. And, you know, what's really quite striking is the fact that so many of these soldiers are clearly manifesting the same kind of settler ideology.
This soldier, Meir, makes that crystal clear. אין לכם אישור להיות פה, גם בחוק ישראלי.
You don't have permission to do this even under Israeli law.
גם בחוק ישראלי.
Even under Israeli law, this isn't a settlement.
זה לא יישוב חוקי.
This isn't a legal settlement.
זה לא יישוב חוקי.
That's right, but it will be a legal settlement.
זה יהיה?
It will be.
אוקיי. איך אתה יודע את זה?
How do you know this?
בגלל העזרה שלך.
Thanks to your help, right? Of course.
Meir is describing the settler playbook and the role Israeli soldiers often play in propping it up. The Israeli military did not respond to CNN's questions about soldiers' conduct in the West Bank, including our detention. Amid the war with Iran, those efforts are intensifying, with at least 4 outposts established this week alone. Land often taken with the blood of Palestinians. I didn't expect this, Abdullah's son says. This is not normal.
So just as we're visiting one patient in the hospital from a settler attack, we've just learned that there have been multiple other settler attacks in the area, and one of the patients is at this same hospital.
29-year-old Sakar Salman says a scuffle broke out after settlers came onto his land and one of them clubbed him in the back of the head. When soldiers arrived, he says they arrested him and beat him with the butt of their guns. The soldiers are a protection for the settlers. I would tell the soldiers that they stole my sheep and they would say that I'm lying and that I'm the one who attacked them. And every time I tried to say something, the soldiers would beat me. Settlers, he says, always go free.
What becomes clear to me from taking in all of this information is that what is happening here seems to be that the United States has no clear goal. Donald Trump is a mad king, right? Who is sending our troops to die for whatever reason he thinks is appropriate at any given moment. It changes by the minute. But what is very obvious to me is that Israel is using this as an opportunity to do a massive land grab in Lebanon and to accelerate their attempts to grab land in Gaza and in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem. This type of acceleration isn't just happening in the West Bank in this one area. It's happening all over the place. Everywhere around Israel where they can leverage military power. And it is also what is leading to a widening of the conflict and destabilization of the region. It is also one of the reasons why I'm deeply worried about how this is all going to resolve. Can it resolve? One thing I would also put out there here, which is that there was a news story yesterday of Pakistan saying, hey, we will host peace talks, right? We'll host peace talks between the United States and Iran. And the issue here is, I don't know how many people understand this, but anyone remember Donald Trump's World Liberty Financial? Here is a press release from the Pakistani government from April of last year. Yeah, the World Liberty Financial, the decentralized finance platform backed by U.S. President Donald Trump, has signed a landmark letter of intent with the Pakistan Crypto Council to accelerate blockchain innovation, stablecoin adoption, and decentralized finance integration across Pakistan. The WLF delegation, including Zachary Folkman, Zachary Witkoff, son of Steve Witkoff, the negotiator to Iran that the United States is throwing out there. Incidentally, Iran has now refused to negotiate with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. And Chase Harrow met with Pakistan's leadership, including the Prime Minister, Chief of Army Staff, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Information, and Minister of Defense to formalize cooperation, marking a major step towards positioning Pakistan as a global leader in the digital finance revolution. World Liberty Financial is backed by the Trump family, including President Trump and his sons, Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and Barron Trump. President Trump has personally endorsed WLF through his statements on social media. World Liberty Financial aims to revolutionize global In other words here, folks, this is the connection. A lot of people were like, well, what is the connection here between the United States, Pakistan, and Iran? And the answer is Donald Trump's money. It's more corruption. Exactly. It has all become one gigantic crypto scam to benefit Donald Trump. And it is unspeakably evil to me that any of this is happening, especially because Iran knows this is all a farce. We didn't send en masse tens of thousands of troops near and ready to deploy to Iran for peace talks to get in the way. Like, it's all a sham, and they know it's a sham, and like we know it's a sham. And the only person who thinks that it's slick anymore is Donald Trump, who, again, has the sensibilities of like a 2-year-old who lacks object permanence. It's like fucking peekaboo. God, it's so frustrating. So, anyway, folks, that's kind of where everything's sitting right now vis-a-vis Iran, Israel, the United States, the war that is ongoing. The boondoggle continues. The mire continues to grow. And hopefully we can leave this swamp behind us before it's too late. It's, I wish I could end on a happier note here, but really the only way out of this for us and for the world is for the people of the United States, us, the people here, to organize. We have to organize so that we can kick these charlatans out of office, end their abuses of power, and make sure nothing like this can ever happen again. Make sure billionaires can't just buy corporate influence over any administration, whether Democrat or Republican. We need to organize so that people power matters more than oligarch power. We need to out-organize the money of the Epstein class. We are Americans. We should be free. We should not be kowtowing to power. We should not be kowtowing to money. We should not be cowering at the idea of our state potentially visiting the imperial power to the imperial core. We should, in fact, be seeking to take control of the imperial core and setting free the people of this world. And I know that sounds like big, but it all starts small. It all starts small with organizing in your town, your city. It starts small by winning local seats. It starts small by building up a sense of community, of people who can trust one another, who can motivate one another, who can show up for one another, who can matter in the local community and actually make things better. Ultimately, what will save us is working together as working people and unlocking one another's chains. We have nothing to lose but those chains, folks. Are you sick of being paid minimum wage? We can do something about that if we organize. Are you sick of having to deal with this orange despot? We can do something about that. We can organize. Are you sick of your state being controlled by Republicans or corporate feckless Democrats? We can do something about it. We are not powerless. They pay billions of dollars every year to make us think we are powerless. But they would not pay that money if we were actually powerless. They would not bother trying to suppress us if we had no power. We have power. We just need to use it. And the best way to use it is by showing the fuck up. One of the ways that I advocate people do that, because I know every single one of you in America, you have access to a local Democratic organization and you have access to a local DSA. Okay? So I'm encouraging you guys to get involved with one or both of those so that we can organize in the Democratic Party to kick out corporate power, to kick out the folks who are bought and paid for by lobbyists who have sold us all out, and to get people into power who are actually going to improve the lives of working class people. Because that's where our focus should be. Our focus should be on making sure everyone's rights are protected, no one gets thrown under the bus, and all working class people get to live better and safer lives as a result. And so when we're doing that, the first step is just showing up. The first step is showing up and getting to know people. That's how you organize. And then you keep showing up. And we can make our DSA as effective as the New York City DSA. We just need people to show up, and we need people to get more interested in doing things that benefit the community than sitting around and circle jerking about it. Okay? Or sitting around and debating who's more holy than thou. We need people to show up who actually care about organizing power, who care about using said power to benefit working class people, and who care about getting tangible material results for people, not just putting out the most virtuous signal possible. Okay? So if you are interested in doing that, you can join our Discord. You can reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems, or Gamergy for help joining your local DSA. And if you don't want to join Discord for whatever reason, you can come over to riverboat.gg, where often they are both hanging out, and you can ask them for questions, organize with them. We can also get you involved in some of our organizing chats if you're so inclined. But basically, my big wish here and my big hope is not in any, one person to come and save us. My big hope is in all of us working together to get out of the hole that we've found ourselves in. Because I think we can do it. But it requires all of us to get together and actually give a shit enough about it to do something. I hope you'll organize with me. All that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button. Subscribe.
Slogan, we have nothing to lose but our brains.
Hey, one-eyed atheist, I like how you think. Thank you for the $5 super chat. If you got anything out of this, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment longer than 8 words. Apparently it does better in the algorithm for whatever reason. And also, folks, last but not least, please check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is elegant, comfortable, and sexy lingerie designed to fit a wider array of bodies, and it's non-tucking. So check it out. Link down in the description. ImogeneOlivia.com. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat deck is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, and plenty more.